Mr. Pfizer said he didn't think he would be in a vax war with me.
Oh, boy.
Didn't think he'd be in a vax war with me. This ain't a war, homie. This is just conversation. But if you want to have some sort of duel, debate, have me on the podcast. Come on the show. Let's have a conversation.
That's one Aaron Rodgers, Achilles-ridden Aaron Rodgers, who is sitting out the whole season, quarterback for the New York Jets. And he's got time on his hands, so now he's discussing Travis Kelce. Maybe it's all the attention Travis Kelce's getting via Taylor Swift, or maybe you saw Mr. Pfizer him talking about there. Maybe it's those ads that Travis Kelce has been on promoting that one COVID vaccine shot. And once someone mentions a vaccine, Aaron Rodgers comes for us to talk about it. So this is what else he had to say as far as Travis Kelce that tied in there for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Let's do it like in John Wick 4, right? So we both have a second.
Nice.
Right? So somebody to help us out. I'm going to take my man, RFK Jr.
Okay.
As an independent.
Hell yeah.
Right? And he can have, Tony Fauci or some other pharmacrat, and we can have a conversation about this.
Okay. Well, I'm happy we got that sorted. Thought for sure you were going with Rogan, but obviously, Dr. Joe Rogan, I apologize. But RFK Jr., not a bad get. He's been at the forefront of this conversation on the internet I have seen. Currently an independent. And could you imagine Fauci and Kelce sitting down across from Aaron and RFK Jr.?
Appointment television.
I'm going to hope that Aaron Rodgers is joking. They're smiling and laughing the whole time. It's a good joke to have. Like, if I'm going to bring up RFK Jr., you get Dr. Fauci. It's going to be a fun debate to talk about the vaccines. That'd be actually pretty entertaining. It could be on Cartoon Network. It could be on Comedy Central, because it'd be a damn joke. I was this close to cursing. It could be a joke to have these folks talk about vaccines. Travis Kelce, Aaron Rodgers, RFK Jr., and Dr. Fauci. It'd be both interesting and mind-numbing at the same time. So I'm gonna go with that they're joking, because if he's serious, it makes no damn sense. There's some folks who thought he was serious. Sam McDowell, of course, he got raked over the coals here in many areas. He says Aaron Rodgers in November 2021. Health should not be political. Aaron Rodgers in October of 23. Let's have a debate on the vaccine, and I'll bring this guy running for president along with me. This guy that's now running, I think, independent now. He switched over instead of saying he's Democratic. Rex, is that my next guy? Rex Hoopke also says it's possible Aaron Rodgers' Achilles was just trying to escape his body because he's so insufferable, which of course he's getting a lot of people angry at him over his stances, and he's hardcore on it. Kevin M. Cruz says the Jets owner who pays Aaron Rodgers is literally a big pharma heir. But go off, nut job. I want to go on that instance of that, David, because the way that this thing went back and forth, which I think maybe people missed the way it went. Travis Kelce's on these ads. You see it all the time if you're watching NFL on Sunday, because he's now the next big ad guy, because they win Super Bowls. So he was on some Pfizer commercials promoting the vaccine. When Aaron Rodgers first criticized him over it, Kelce responded because he called him the Pfizer guy. So Kelce responded and pointed out, look, the owner of the Jets is the Johnson & Johnson heir. So we've got a couple of vaccine folks we're battling it out, which was kind of a fun response, which you could maybe expect from Travis Kelce. And then that's when Aaron Rodgers went to this degree. So he's ignoring the fact that, if we're talking about what do you call them? The vaccine crats, I don't know what he called them, that they're the ones fighting over it, bro. Johnson had a vaccine too. Maybe you should reject the millions of dollars that they're looking to pay you for your services for playing quarterback, which you can't play and sucks for a season. But then again, since we're talking about all these pharma people who are destroying the country, which plenty of them are in many other ways, detach, bro, detach.
Well, Jayar, on your question of whether Aaron Rodgers is just sort of joking or whether he sort of lost something upstairs because of too many hits. Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't he the guy who was really into hallucinogenic tea? That was his big thing a couple of years ago, or that he would go off and find himself and experiment with hallucinogenic stuff. We all know that hallucinogenic stuff, whether it's tea or anything else, can affect people in different ways. I wonder if the effect on Aaron Rodgers was really, really bad. I didn't have an opinion about Aaron Rodgers for most of the years that he was with Green Bay. I didn't really care. I hated the New York Jets. I've always hated the New York Jets. I now hate them even more because the idea that they would bring this idiot on their team and allow him to sort of say this nonsensical stuff, somebody ought to call him and say, look, Aaron Rodgers, you will still want to have another shot at playing for the Jets. Shut your trap. Just be quiet. You're embarrassing us. You're embarrassing the organization. And oh, by the way, there's nothing wrong with encouraging people to get vaccines that will save their lives, that will keep them from having the more serious symptoms of COVID should they get that. There's nothing wrong with that, but there's clearly something wrong with Aaron Rodgers.
Okay. I've always wanted this from the anti-vax folks. And by the way, I got friends and family that have been on some spectrum of it, as far as resistance to it, to just questioning and wondering, we should look deeper, and all that stuff I can actually understand. So if you're looking to save people's lives, if you don't want people to turn to zombies, if you don't want them to then have whatever cameras that have been inserted in our bloodstream suddenly start tracking us, I'm not sure all the conspiracies that were pushed forward, but if you don't want any of that to happen, usually I would think, if you want to save people, you talk to them like, listen, you should understand this about it, because it'll be a problem for you later, because I know this, I know that, and I know the third thing. I'm concerned for your life because our population may significantly decrease if everyone turns into zombies and starts eating each other's brains. Yes, that's some of the conspiracies. Now, if that's the process, why don't you do that rather than saying, you stupid sons of bitches, what's the matter with you? You're dumb, you're just following Fauci, pharma, crats and all this. Do you think that's going to convince anyone to actually see your point of view, or actually think that you're looking to look out for them, versus you just trying to, I guess, get an appearance on TV, talk about how much smarter you are than everyone else? Yes, Dims and Libs do the same type of energy as well. Instead, they'll dog someone out instead of saying, listen, think about it this way. Because what we're looking for, instead of resolution, or maybe even what they think is an end to this, they're looking for a fight instead, and to be crowned the smarter person in the room. That's all this is about. This doesn't have anything to do with vaccines.
Jayar, I think you're absolutely right. I think you're spot on. And part of this seems to be, I think when you've been a professional football player for a certain period of time, and you like to then identify yourself as having other talents, right? I mean, Tom Brady is going to prove or disprove whether he's a good broadcaster. There are all sorts of other former NFL players who have taken up certain causes. Kelce is proving that he's a good pitch man, just like Patrick Mahomes is great on commercials with his authenticity. So clearly Aaron Rodgers is envious perhaps of all these other folks. And he's trying to perhaps say, hey, I'm good at other things too, other than just throwing a football and being a quarterback. I'm good in terms of arguing a particular point about vaccines. Well, no, he's not. He's not very good. He's coming across as really stupid. But it's almost sort of pathetic in a way, because here's Aaron Rodgers. He's so desperate, especially now that he's been injured and he's out for the season. He's so desperate to be known for something other than being a quarterback. And he's coming up short, and it's sad.
It's conflict all the time. Look, I bet he could be, I think Peyton Manning is one of the funnier athletes that can act. He can actually do it well. You see athletes act sometimes on SNL or something, you'd be like, oh my God. It's not their expertise. I feel like Aaron Rodgers could have that. He has a looseness about him, but he's hung up on certain things that he wants to fight about instead. Again, the fight is what you're looking for. That's all you're going to get, and you get hate, and maybe it's enjoyable. Some people enjoy confrontation. I guess that's part of it.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.